this calf wedge sits in here and helps to stabilize your leg in the pad when you're, specifically in the butterfly.
Blooper reel.
Yeah.
And here we are back against more God hockey, and I have for the fourth time Warriors' own Kirk Allen joining me today to talk a little bit about G7 and a couple exciting things happening at Warrior. Good morning, Kirk. How are you?
Morning, Dana. Thank you for having me back on.
Yeah. Yeah, you're becoming a regular. You're a part of the furniture here at God Hockey, but I definitely appreciate it. It's always great to talk to you and always good to really get some of those insights on the new gear coming out. I know we have so far from a lot of the buzz that I've heard around the various places. It seems like this is an eagerly anticipated launch, so definitely want to knock this one off early on so we could get even more attention going as we move closer to finality of this gear hitting the shelves, so to speak. So just briefly, if you want to break it down, like what do you want to say mostly about the new line? Because it's not drastically changed from what we've seen before, but I think a lot of the key tweaks and things that we've made to improve, I certainly think that's something maybe just worth noting. I think simplicity is probably the best way I would describe it.
For us, pad and glove launch now is really big because we don't have one every year. The G7 will be our launch for 2024, and then we won't have another pad and glove launch until 2026. So we're really excited to release this launch. The pads specifically, we'll get into some finer details. A lot did end up changing on the back of the pad, with whether it be a strap type or a new strapping option, the new foam cushion, the wedge inside the leg channel. So we really are excited to see what goalies' response is to this. We've taking a step forward, but also taking a step away from some of the things we've stuck to. From maybe you saw a strap that was on the G3, 4, 5, and then the 6, and that strap might not be there anymore on the G7. So for the long-time Warrior goalie user, there's some differences there that they'll definitely notice right out of the gate. And for goalies who maybe haven't considered Warrior recently, there'll be some familiarity to our gear that maybe they haven't seen before, or haven't seen from us in a while. So we're really excited. The response has been great. The customizer is out now. We started from scratch on our customizer and really rebuilt the user interface to make it more convenient, much quicker to work through. And then also a big focus for us was putting more tech information into the customizer. So while you're going through the options that you can select from Warrior, being able to click that little I button and then seeing a visual of what you're selecting and what the options truly mean has gone over well, and people are gravitating more towards that and making informed decisions about what they want to go with. So so far so good, and the stock launch will be in a couple of months, but yeah, and then we have an M3 stick launch this year too, and there's some exciting things coming there that we'll get to later in this video, I'm sure.
Nice. Yeah. The customizer was something I noticed right away. It definitely, it's very simplified, but still like finely detailed as well, because there's a lot of little options to pick. And especially once you get from colors to specs, it really moves through everything pretty easily. So I think you don't forget to do something. It sort of carries you right through everything as you go. I know I just did a spec chart for myself, so excited to see some of that stuff as that comes through, and I'll get on the ice with those. And then yeah, I guess maybe what we'll do is let's walk through a little bit about the pad now if you want.
Sure.
And we'll go over some of those little changes that have been made.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a G7 RTL. So RTL is the top price point starting in 2024 for our pads and gloves and also our sticks. In the coming launches for protective, mask, and other stick families, you'll see this coming from Warrior. So this is the start of us not using Pro plus Pro, E plus E. So just so people are more familiar, RTL will be the top price point. Pro is the second price point. And then for the pad and gloves, the G7 is the base model. So at Warrior, we don't really make goalie products that are below entry level or are entry level to begin with. So
Yep.
you can start at the base model and you can only go up from there, from G7 to Pro to RTL. And then similarly for the sticks, you can get the M3 stick, and then you can get the M3 Pro and then the M3 RTL. So just to cover that, people wondering where's the Pro Plus, this is the RTL now. This is the G7 RTL leg pad, stock construction. This is a custom pad, but it's a stock construction all throughout. So one piece core with a medium flex below the knee with a stiff thigh rise is the configuration that goalies will know at retail. And then we did put an outer roll brake back on the pad. On the G6, it did not have an outer roll brake here. And this was really from long-term feedback that we had from the G6 that goalies were looking for a little bit more shape to the pad as they started to play in it. And didn't want the pad to be as straight with a slight curve up towards the top. They really wanted a little bit more tapered pullback from the pad at below the knee to help with that 5-hole coverage, but still wanting that longevity from the core that the G6 had, where the pad did not break down and you didn't lose any of the rebound pop or speed in month 18 or month 24 that you were using them. So we kept the inside of the core in that same configuration as the G6, but added a little bit more curvature to the pad in a sense by putting the outer roll brake back on. This outer roll brake for us has always been instrumental, really since the G5 and then the G6 and now the G7. We put HD foams in here and really reinforce the internals so that the pad has that stopping power. We call this Coverage Plus. Coverage Plus is just a face forward design to help cut the angle down from the puck's trajectory to the net. So we don't have a low profile outer roll here, and we don't put softer foams in the outer roll because you want to make sure that pucks aren't going to skip over your pad as you're extending, and rebounds in tight aren't popping over either. On the back of the pad, the strapping changed. So doubled elastic strap at the knee, doubled elastic strap at the calf, and then the top calf strap is still the neoprene sling wrap, but some updates here. So starting at the top of the knee, there is an outside knee wing piece that you can remove. There's 2 settings here if you wanted to have a more outer setting or an inner setting. This pad has it removed right now. We have a nice tab here so that you can smoothly put this Velcro piece down to the calf or around the knee. And then an update to the top calf strap is that we added loop Velcro to the back of it. So when goalies are going down to the calf, they don't have to choose to run these straps side by side or to crisscross. They can land it right on top of the other strap, and then it'll securely hold.
Always thinking.
Yeah. The other changes to the top calf strap were a little bit easier to see if I take this calf wedge out. Let me do that. We added a secondary opening to run that strap through here. So if you really want to have a super tight feel in the pad, you really want the pad to sit up high on your skate, you can run that strap through there. Just like on the G6, this is an adjustable strap. So there's different stitch slots here that you can run the slit clip through if you want it to be tighter or looser, or simply to just remove it and wear the pad without the top calf strap.
So for another pad that might have that high calf strap that some goalies just don't really like because it does feel too tight. So this gives you the option of both without having to add an extra strap or without there being 2 there.
Right. There's a bunch of options really here, and we build everything into the pad so that you can try it for a skate. You didn't like it, change it back or change it to a different configuration. There's really 3. Like you could run it to the innermost, the kind of stock setting, which it comes through here, or you could run it completely through the outside and not run it through either of the openings. And then beyond that, there's also the tension settings of the strap too. So very easy to dial it in exactly how a goalie would want it. And then moving down, there's the 2 options for the calf strap as well. So this calf strap is now doubled elastic, and it is also adjustable in tension by way of a slit clip, so that you can get this strap as tight or as loose as you'd like. Or if you feel over time, the same with the heel and the toe strap, the straps get softer and wetter and you want to regain some of that elasticity, maybe it's towards the end of your season or playoffs are coming up, you don't have to look for a strap kit. You can just simply go through each of the straps, tighten
Tighten
them
it up by one.
yeah, regain some of that elasticity to get you through the rest of your season. So I'll put this cap wedge back in. And a nice thing about it being removable is that it's also adjustable. So we see it more now with goalies wearing different types of skates. Goalies wanting the pads to be pretty open and empty towards the bottom, so that they're not connecting or bumping into things or getting caught on other pieces of your skate. So you can, if you want to, shift this piece up an inch or in half an inch, or if you say maybe you wear a big bulky knee pad and you want to have a little bit more space up here, you can also shift the cap wedge down.
Nice.
Similarly. So finding that perfect kind of balance point to support your knee, support your ankle, or if it's simply based on other pieces of equipment you're wearing, you can adjust this piece to where you want it to be. The calf wrap, inner calf wrap, got a little bit shorter on the pad. It used to extend more towards the toe. And then similarly, the outer calf wrap as well got a little bit shorter. It used to reach almost all the way down to the toe of the pad. On custom, you can still get a shorter outer calf wrap that would cut off just above the ankle break, so right around through here. Or you can go with the stock long, which is right here that you see on the camera. And then we changed the construction of this piece. So on the G6, this was the same type of foam that you see here on the inner calf wrap. This calf wrap now is softer LD foams with stitching lines that will help this pad contour more to your leg for more control as you're T-pushing and recovering from the butterfly saves. So it gives you a better feel in the pad. Inside here, one last thing to touch on, a carryover feature from the G6 to the G7 is the contoured shin cradle. You might be able to get a nice angle of it through the camera there.
Yep.
This is something that we introduced on the 6 to give the goalie a full connected feel to the pad from the toe all the way to their knee. Without the contoured shin cradle, you're kind of missing out on a couple of things. One is connectedness to the pad and feeling the pad on your shin. That also helps to carry the weight of the pad in a very neutral spot on your leg, so you don't feel that the pad ends up being bottom heavy or top heavy. You feel it really kind of holding against your shin, which is a nice light way to wear a pad. And then it also plays a factor in the rebound speed of the pad. Having your leg and your shin bracing this core part of the pad helps to pop that pad or pop the puck right off the shin of the pad when you're in the butterfly. Moving down towards the bottom, this is more of a reminder on some of the features from the G6, but the elastic ARS heel strap, adjustable in tension here, and then also that toe strap is the same strap type as the heel strap. So you can take this toe strap out and you can adjust it the exact same way you would adjust the heel strap. So if you're like, I really like this toe strap, it just feels a little bit tight to me, you can pull it and lengthen it. Or similarly, you can gain more tightness to it if you'd like. Or, if you've worn the pad for 8, 9, 12 months, you can take that strap out. You can regain some of that initial elasticity by tightening it there too. Removable HD toe box. So if you did want to wear a skate lace toe or any sort of aftermarket toe system, you can do that there. But if you like, if you like the ARS toe strap, you can simply just take the lace out, and this piece will come off the pad. So it's a more open for post integration and things like that off the skate. We'll move the pad all the way around here. You'll notice that this is the first Warrior Ritual pad in the G series, really since the G3, that doesn't have air slide. Air slide has gone through a couple of different evolutions over the years. Started out with 2 recesses at the knee with a binding, and then it moved to 1 recess at the knee with no binding. And then it moved to no recesses at the knee with a polycarbonate slide plate. And then we've also gone through some different changes in the inner gusset, where the recesses used to start in the middle of the inner gusset and work backwards with LD foams around them. And then on the G6, it got to full recesses throughout the inner gusset with HD foam internals. We have found through all these different iterations of air slide, specifically pro feedback in Europe, goalies that are wearing pads for extended periods of time, the best recipe for a Warrior sliding pad from the tip of the thigh rise all the way to the toe of the boot is a full HD foam inner gusset with the polycarbonate slide plate. So that is going to be a big shakeup for a lot of goalies at where to air slide go if they've been in air slide for a long period of time. And for also for goalies that maybe didn't consider Warrior because of air slide, maybe it looked a little bit too different. This will be a little bit more familiar to a lot of goalies that aren't in a Warrior pad today. The polycarbonate slide plate is still a removable option. So just as a quick reminder, you would do this on the top and the bottom, and then the slide plate can be removed.
Yeah, it's very simple, easy on and off.
Yes, very easy to put on and off. This knee block area, I'll touch on this as well because this plays a big factor for the slideability of the pad. We introduced the knee drive system on the G2 pad. I believe that would have been in 2014, which was the first version of knee drive system for us that talks about, and it emphasizes the importance of the connection of the back of the pad to the knee block for getting down to the butterfly quickly. And also having a stable sliding pad, faster sliding pad while you're in the butterfly. And each year from the G2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now the 7, we've worked on ways that the core of the pad laces to the knee block and overlap the top layer and the bottom layer. They overlap, underlap, wrap, and Velcro keeps them very secure. This iteration, though, on the G7, we added a piece of HyperComp, which is our composite plastic material. And that piece connects from the knee stack to the knee drive system. So it's very almost an immovable object, the most stable connection we've had in a version of the knee drive system. So that also plays a factor into the G7 being the fastest sliding ritual pad we've released.
Right. So it has that extra connectivity that's extra solidly fixed in, less movement, so less loss of energy and all of those kind of things you right into the pad. I do like the way the calf, I do like the inner gusset. I guess I wouldn't think of it as that you just got rid of what was there before.
Right.
It's just come to the time that you realize you can do more without needing that sort of channeled system where you can keep everything nice and firm so it lands and then also moves well.
Yeah, it's a constant quest of evolution, and not every year there's a revolution. It's sometimes an evolution, and the air slide feature itself went through evolutions, and we've found that this to be the HD foam inner gusset combined with the polycarbonate slide plate, combined with the knee drive system, and now it's HyperComp reinforced to be the best slide, not only on day one, but we have a very, very strong emphasis on our product for year 2.
Sure.
We mentioned earlier on that we're not coming out with a G8 next year or a GT product. So we know that goalies that are buying G7 today in custom, they expect 24 months or more out of the product, and they want it to slide in year 2 the same way that it slides in 2024. So that HD foam inner gusset plays a big factor in the pad sliding well in year 2 as much as it does in year 1.
Great. I love the look. And again, I love some of the simpler features about it. I think it's going to be a big winner. So looking forward to having it for sure. And maybe if we move on, let's check out maybe some gloves. Probably less change there.
Yeah, so we will be in senior sizes offering the G7 and the 7.1. The glove I have here is the G7. So as a refresher there, the main thing to take away here where you're starting out, if you're considering a Warrior glove and which one to go with, is what type of catching shape you want. So the G7 has a longer thumb and a shorter finger. So when you open this glove up wide, it gets you a very top to bottom, a wide catching shape and a very circular silhouette to the glove. So you could drop a soccer ball or a basketball in here and it fits that shape nicely. If you've been in a G3, 4, 5, 6, you probably want to start here and continue on with that G7. And then the opposite of that is the 7.1, where you have a shorter thumb and a longer finger. So when you open this glove up, you'll see it elongates the catching shape. Another way of looking at it would be if you just drew a line from the tip of the tee to the heel of the glove and you open it, you're going to have more coverage in this glove on the finger side. You see how that pocket really extends down low. This helps you to reach for pucks that are just going over your pad, the posted in shot that you really got to reach down low for. And then if you were to draw that same line on a G7 glove, you're going to have more coverage up at the thumb. So this is going to help you catching pucks up by your ear in certain save sequences like that. So kind of choosing where do you want more coverage? Do you want it on your thumb side or your finger side? But there's also just kind of a hand feel catching style that goalies will maybe choose from as well. The differences beyond that, G7 has the removable liner, so you can take the palm out, you can wash it. If it's a stock glove, you can change it to a 60 or 90 or put an intermediate palm inside the glove. Even if it's not custom, that's a nice upsell there. And then the other changes that we've made to this glove is the wrist mobility. Similarly on the blocker, you'll see as well. We had a big focus there. Part of our Coverage Plus is all about thinking of ways that you can maximize your coverage within the allowed measurements to maximize it physically. So wrist mobility is a big factor to that. If you cannot make your glove completely square to the puck, you aren't maximizing the coverage of the piece of equipment. So by scooping out this cuff and this new design here, it allows a goalie to have a completely like a 90, we call it a 90-degree wrist bend. So I can have my hand fully square to the puck, very low or minimal chest and arm interference. And this is really critical for backdoor saves or pucks that hit your pad in a scrum. And then your first instinct as a goalie is project your hand out to the puck. So if that shooter is trying to skip it over your leg, your hand is there and it's square. There's a huge difference in that save if your glove is like this to the puck or like this to the puck. And that new wrist design really helps goalies in any type of save, whether it's your stance or a scramble scenario, to have the glove fully square and open to maximize your coverage. The other thing about a top price point, so the RTL glove would be that this has full hypercomp internals in the cuff, thumb, and the finger area. And when you move to the G7 Pro and senior or intermediate, it goes to standard HDPE plastics. So a little bit of difference in weight there and longevity of that protection from the RTL when you move to the G7 Pro. Holding the 7.1 here because this is a stock glove. We did change the double T construction from the 6.1 now the 7.1, or if you're on custom, you can get this on either model. But we widened out the T spines a little bit on the G6. These would have come in here and they would have overlapped a little bit more, and you kind of lost some of this pocket visibility through here. This is important because not every time are you seeing the puck clearly, or sometimes puck's coming up at your face and you're trying to get your trapper out in front. You want to have some of that sort of peripheral vision to be able to see through the pocket better. And it also helps to add some more volume to the pocket. Like you could lay a puck flat in here and it would still kind of jiggle around in there. It's such a big, massive pocket. So a small update, but something that goalies that are looking to buy a 7.1 or a custom trapper with the double T will definitely appreciate the new double T spine.
I think the old configuration of the double T almost made it like just a two-pronged single T. So I think that's gonna sort of improve on that and give everyone that real feel that they want for those goalies who like the doubles.
And then the blocker got some other updates as well. The main focus here again was for wrist mobility compared from a G6 or a 6.1. When you start out looking at a G7, you're going to want to choose your board shape as your first way of looking at it. So this is a G7 with a 20-degree board curve. This is a thicker and a flatter board shape. And then the opposite being the 7.1, which is a slightly thinner board with a 35-degree curve. Again, not one is better or worse than the other. It's really what board shape do you use today? Do you really like it, or is there something that you feel is missing about it that you maybe want to try something different? Having more board curve is beneficial to you in certain sequences. One could be when the puck is in tight and you're bringing your hands in. Having that curve up top helps you to kind of cut pucks off. If, again, the player is trying to skip a puck over you, you kind of project the coverage down and cut that aerial angle off. I also find talking with goalies, 7.1 goalies typically are goalies who talk a lot about steering pucks to the corner, taking a little bit more pride in the wrist turn for a blocker save, whereas the G7 goalie is sometimes just more the goalie that says, I want my blocker to be in position. I want it to be a little bit flatter, so it's really forward facing, maximizing coverage with Coverage Plus. And I just like to get a piece of the blocker or a piece of a save up my blocker and let the puck just kind of shoot off in that same sort of trajectory. Not as much wrist turn or, steering pucks and directing them into the corner. So
I'm more of a wave my arm and hope for the best.
Yeah. What can go wrong, right? On the blockers, we also have a big focus on the finger protection. This on the RTL price point is our X foam material, which is the same foam that's in the crown of our goalie mask. This is a removable piece. Similarly, the index finger guard here is a Velcro removable or adjustable feature to the blocker. So you can move this piece down. I find goalies, if they have broken a finger before, they're like, put as much foam protection sticks and pieces as you can in here, because I just don't want that to happen again. Other goalies, fortunate goalies that have not done that or had a puck ramp up their paddle, they're like, get all this out of there. I want to have a.
Why is that even there?
Yeah. Why do people still put that there? A nice thing about this being removable and adjustable is you can take it out. Or if you kind of want it there still subconsciously, you can tuck it away underneath the sidewall more, so it's more of a space filler, not a space intruder. And then the index finger and the ring finger protection are segmented here, so that full finger protection can come down. If you're scrambling, you drop your stick, or you're in the paddle down, it really helps to seal the blocker in the paddle of the stick nicely. So that you have full coverage against any type of puck that's going to maybe find its way. Pucks find their way to the small spots.
Those little black devils. If there's a hole, it'll find it. So that's good. No, definitely always had great coverage there. Always had the maximum.
Yep. Removable palm on the G7 and the sewn in palm on the 7.1. I will, just on a custom aspect, there's some new updates there that weren't available previously on the G6 release. You can custom order a senior size 7.1 blocker with an intermediate palm now. So that's something we heard a lot of feedback from goalies looking for that, because it's that sewn in palm. You can't do it yourself after you get the blocker. So you can custom order an intermediate palm in this senior blocker. And then the other update in the 7.1 world is that you can get an intermediate version of it. So an intermediate 7.1, an intermediate 7.1 blocker, and this is talking about the whole silhouette dimensions through custom only.
So the RTL spec.
Yes.
Just in the intermediate size.
Yep.
Yeah, great feature.
7.1. Yep. And same for the leg pads for custom intermediate. You're going to get all the RTL updates for the internal cores of the foams, hypercomp, truly a top price point intermediate pad catcher and blocker.
Nice. So 7 to 7.1, even just kind of to recap, from G series to GT, which is which?
We have found, and it's unique to each goalie. I definitely, you want to look at what you're wearing today and look at how it feels and how it's performing for you. The catching silhouette shape of a GT2, if you're coming from a GT2, will have a more rounded shape to it, like this G7. But there's some more subtle differences of that GT2 glove that might draw you to a 7.1 still. If it's strictly like, I love the GT2 catching shape, you might be a goalie that ends up choosing a G7 still. But if you're a goalie that has a more of an emphasis on having a forward thumb inside the glove, more goalies will talk to me about it as like a baseball catching feel. You will have a more forward thumb in the 7.1. So inside this 7.1, your thumb is just a little bit more tilted forward and gets you that enhanced kind of pinching feel. Whereas on the G7, your thumb, this is an over exaggeration, but your thumb is a little bit more in line with your index finger. So you kind of feel like a more open hand versus like a pre sort of set hand. So I've seen both. I've seen GT2 goalies that are just like, oh, it's so obvious, I'm going to go with the 7.1.
Yeah.
And then other goalies that are like, I tried the 7.1 and I did feel like inside the glove, like, the finger stalls, the non-removable palm was the same, but I just felt a big difference in the catching shape. So we have two options for goalies to choose from, so that they can ultimately, catch more pucks and find what works best for their game. So it's not a apples to apples of GT2 to this. It's kind of, again, what the priority for you as a goalie is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sort of like so the point one is almost that sort of bigger handed. You have that
Yeah.
longer, so you really, and then so on the opposite, you'd almost go a little bit shorter,
Yeah.
smaller handed on the seven. I
It
think
is
I did seven catcher, 7.1 blocker.
that's what I'm currently using myself. I've used both. I used the 6.1 for a full season in my hockey, and I really liked it. But I always try to use both and see how I'm playing,
Yeah.
and what's changing, so that when goalies ask me questions, I kind of know what to say. To your point, this 7.1 is a big glove in the regard that when you have your hand in it, there's a lot of glove extending beyond your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So I do find that goalies that are larger or just have bigger hands in general have a somewhat better experience in the 7.1
Yeah.
than a smaller goalie might.
Yeah.
But if you are a smaller goalie, the difference between an intermediate catcher and a senior catcher, I want to say a 45-degree perimeter, 45-inch perimeter versus a 42-inch perimeter. So there's not a huge difference in coverage. If you do just want to commit and go for the intermediate size glove, we have on all of our gloves a slightly shorter cup, so that we have more catching, more pocket.
Yeah.
Out here in the actual catching area of the glove. So it is still, even though it's an intermediate, a very large glove. Yeah.
And what about sticks?
Sticks. So we have 3 new sticks that are coming out this year in the M3 family: the M3 RTL, the M3 Pro, and the M3. So I'll start with the base model here. This stick here has our minimus paddle geometry. So as you know, if you follow the M1 and the M2, that's our low kick, quick release goalie stick. These geometries, these ridges right here, help to drive the flex energy of the stick down towards the lower part of the paddle. So it really flexes kind of down by this circle W. This helps for goalies that struggle with getting the puck off the ice. Puck handling for goalies is a challenge. It's not something you practice often or get a lot of opportunities to practice. And when the puck goes behind the net, you stop a dump in, and you just have to get the puck up to the glass quickly so that you can buy yourself some time to get back in the net. This paddle geometry, this flex profile, really helps goalies do that. Next, moving up the stick, you have our slide grip feature, which is embossed grip texture here at the top of the paddle, really where you're controlling and holding the stick, which is with your index finger and your thumb. And then these 3 other fingers wrap around the stick for a little bit more control, but more so are there to stabilize your blocker on the stick and then release your hand for a poke check or to get out of, stop a dump in, things like that. So no grip or gloss texture here. It's just immediately transfers to a matte finish. So you have a nice slide. This is a conventional shaft shape, so rectangular shaft shape. And that is the M3. This stick will go from 26-inch all the way down to 20. And that brings me to my next point that will also carry over for the Pro and the RTL is new paddle sizing. We will now offer in this price point here 26, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And this paddle sizing will better align with some of the other stick brands on the market. All the way down to a slightly higher sloped shoulder on the thumb side and a slightly lower sloped shoulder on the finger side. New paddle sizing there. So if you're in a Warrior stick now and you're looking at the M3, it's definitely something to consider that if you're using, like as an example, a Warrior 26 V3 Pro Plus or an M2 Pro Plus, you probably consider going to a 25-inch in the new M3 series. Yeah, and that also brings us to some new sizes that we hadn't offered before. So previously in the old sizing, currently it'd be the V3 sizing, 27.5, 26, 25, and then you jump to 23.5, and then you jump to 21 and 20. We now have that nice, easy progression
all the way down.
Yeah, all the way down in 1 inch increments. You're not missing a size, so it's easier for goalies to start with our stick at the younger ages and grow with it over the years. And a more simple apples to apples if you're comparing different options when you're in store.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of goalies now are you see a lot of emphasis on paddle size, especially at the younger ages and as they grow and as they get bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly trying to while in store, not on the ice, not in position, trying to sort of extrapolate the right size. So the more options they have is definitely makes it easier to get them into the right one. So that's good. I'm forever in a quandary with the goalie coaches of the world who seem to think everybody needs a bigger paddle.
I am seeing, like you, I talk with lots and lots of goalies from all different parts of the world. It finally seems to be coming around that goalies are realizing a shorter paddle is probably better for them.
Yeah.
It's better for rebound control. It's going to be a little bit of a lighter stick. It keeps the blade flatter as they get into a deep crouch, looking through a screen. A longer paddle, you see it. If a stick's too big, you see a goalie looking through a screen and the stick's just resting on the heel. It's not flat on the belly of the blade anymore. So I am seeing it in the same regard. Goalies are starting to identify that more and go to shorter paddles, which is great. And that's also part of the reason why we don't have a 27-inch in this new stick line either. The old, 27.5 from Warrior almost lines up perfectly with the new 26. So if you are in that 27.5 today, you're still going to be just fine in the 26.
You still have a stick.
Yeah, it won't be a stick that says 27. It'll say 26, but it's almost identical in the overall length of the paddle. So we're not moving up. You're now going to go to the M3 Pro. This has our Minimus Carbon 12. So it's a 12K paddle weave, Minimus paddle geometry on the back here, flat face on the front, full gloss finish, which really helps to pull some of that chrome effect out of the stick. And you move up to the slide grip. And then I'll get to what I feel is one of the more exciting features of the stick is the ASG shaft. So this is our asymmetrical shaft geometry that goalies know from the M2i and currently the V3i. And this shaft geometry is strategically designed to fit into the heel of your trapper so that you have full control over the shaft so that you can leverage it, control it, get better accuracy, and also help to lift the puck off the ice. We found, the ASG sort of evolution and the R&D that the rebound and the durability also improved from this shaft shape. So by taking that 90-degree corner off in the high impact area of the stick, pucks really deflect off of the shaft much easier, more consistently towards the corner, and also for better durability as well. Lastly, I would say it does play a factor in the poke check speed. The blocker transition speed from shoulder to the knob. But I just wanted to touch on this. Why I'm so excited about it is not because it's a new feature. It's, again, something from the M2i and the V3i, but it's the first time that a goalie can get this shaft at something other than that top price point.
Yes.
So bringing this geometry, this technology, this stick control to more goalies is so exciting. I know you guys have an exclusive on a nice navy blue colorway. Also some exclusives in colorways and pads and gloves too. So I'm really excited to see those hit the stores in the blue. M3 Pro, Minimus paddle geometry, ASG shaft, all the geometry specs from the RTL and the benefit that a goalie can get from that flex profile and that shaft hold comes at the more affordable price in the M3 Pro.
Yeah, excellent feature. Bringing that down to the second tier price level is going to be, it's just gonna make it accessible. Because I think even there's a lot of goalies out there who maybe aren't buying that top tier stick. They just never get to experience it, or maybe they don't even look at it because it's sort of not in the range. So that's a dynamite feature.
Thank you. And then at the very top is your M3 RTL, so Minimus Carbon 25, a 25K weave. Significantly lighter than the M3 Pro, about 40 or 50 grams lighter. So you feel that whoa factor as soon as you pick it up. Low kick, quick release paddle, ASG shaft, full chrome accents throughout the stick. Very, very light. So if you're using an M2i today, this would be your next progression here. This is the first time, other than an M2I or B3I, which we would call as a special release stick, a limited release,
Mhm.
that you can get the ASG shaft and the minimus paddle geometry on a stock stick. And that's also exciting because there will be very soon here, we're working on the M3 customizer. So you can customize for the first time a stick with the ASG shaft. You can get it in your colors at the RTL price point or at the M3 Pro price point as well. So I know a lot of goalies that have tried M2I or B3I really like it, but wanted it in a red or a blue,
Yeah.
or something
White
without a
base.
neon. Yeah, something without a neon color or a rainbow effect to the foil. So that's going to be, yeah, white base also. You can get it fully base painted white. We'll see a lot more goalies, I think, gravitating towards these constructions
Mhm.
once the customizer launches.
I'll be doing some for that as soon as that launch becomes available.
Yeah.
Currently using some old Pro Pluses that I'm working myself through, which is a stick that I do love. So yeah, it'll be good to get a chance to test out some of those because I have yet to get that new shaft geometry out on the ice for myself, as well as they do in the store, because it's one of my favorite new things on sticks. So I was excited when it first came out, and even just some of the feedback that I get from the customers when they actually use it, they come back, they get their second one or whatever it happens to be. Then I get to just say, how'd you like it? How you finding it? It's like, oh, you're right about the rebounds. You're right about the way it comes off. I've had sticks break from a single shot to a shaft 1 week into owning it. This thing takes pucks and not seeing any ill effects, whether it be breakage or even just losing a bit of the feel. So everything seems to really be checking out well with that. Like I'd say from a launch of something that came out that was a little bit different. Like I don't think I could be happier, with it as for in terms of how it's translated. So and again, just the excitement factor of it now being extending down to a second price point, I think is just going to make it that much more accessible and that much more visible to more goalies. So that'll be a big thing, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say work through all those Pro Pluses before you get
Yeah.
them because they'll just sit in your garage after you
Well,
get your
there's
new
the
car.
thing too is
There's
I
no
know.
going back once you've gotten hooked on the
Eh,
ASG shooting.
yeah, absolutely. Well, because I know as well, like Warrior definitely has the reputation of having the most durable sticks, or certainly very, very reliable sticks when it comes to durability. And yeah, like they hold up unbelievably well. So yeah, I've got one there that's just taped and hasn't even, I don't think I've had it in my car yet. So yeah, I
Sign it and
gotta.
put it over Soggy's desk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll have to, yeah, we'll have to find something for it. I gotta convert my kid to a goalie. He still likes playing forward only. So who knows about that? So we'll
I'm
see
the
where that
opposite.
goes.
I have to tell mine that he's not allowed to take the leg pads to practice every time we go to the rink. So
Yeah, you definitely have a little guy that's definitely got that goalie bug. So yeah, that's a bit of a blessing and a curse sometimes, I know, for some, but at least yeah, he knows a guy who can get him some gear. So that's a big plus growing up in your house. Well, I
yeah,
think that's a wrap on this one. We've got a lot of great insights, of course, on all the new features, some of the features that aren't as new, but some of the things that are changing. A lot of great features coming forward. I think it's going to be a great year ahead for you guys. I can't wait to get the stuff in store. I can't wait to get the stuff in my own bag on the ice for myself too. And thanks again for joining us one more time. We're gonna do it again. I'm gonna have you in every chance I can get. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in the shop sometime soon if you make it over the border.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, hopefully crossing the border soon.
All right, but take care.
Thanks, Dana.